Hello and welcome to Merc with Miniatures. Today for my first video I'm going to be teaching you how to play Warhammer Age of Sigmar. To get started you'll need some 6-sided dice as seen here. You don't need the special Warhammer ones. A tape measure, which comes in handy when moving the miniatures, and obviously the miniatures themselves. For this example you need Stormcast Eternals, including 5 Vindicators and 1 Knight Arcanum. For the Gut Rippers, you need 10 of them and 1 Killer Boss for this example, as I said. So, before we start, we need to introduce the miniatures. These are the Vindicators of the Stormcast Eternal army. They're the protectors of Azza and have superhuman strength. At the front is the Valiant Stormcast Prime, and at the back are the models at its service. And the Vindicators are led into the fray by something known as the Knight Arcanum, a spellcaster for the Stormcasters and a higher up model in your army. These models like to use ranged, however the Vindicators prefer to be in melee. Charging in to rival the Vindicators are the Gut Rippers from the land of Gur. They're part of the Destruction Army of Orcs, and right up the front is their leader, the Gut Ripper boss. Some of the strongest of all Orcs are known as Killer Bosses. They're strong warriors whose strength shows their power to the rest of their armies. Now, once you've set up your miniatures similar to this, your battle will be ready to commence. This is a very simple setup for the battle, but when you only have a few miniatures, you should make sure that they're in a relatively close space so that the battle won't take too long. If you're wondering why I've got a Hobgrot Slitter down here with the Killer Boss, it's because before I started filming, I didn't get the Stabgrot out ready, so I just got a Hobgrot Slitter to use instead. Now, to determine who's going first, we roll 2 dice. 1 for the Stormcasts, 1 for the Orcs. Red represents the Orcs, and white represents the Vindicators. So, in this case, they got equal, no, my luck. Now, I roll again, and this time the Vindicators got a 6, and the Krolboys got a 5, which means that the Vindicators are indeed going first. So, at the start of battle, you're allowed to use something called a movement phase, which is what I'm going to do now. So, to determine the movement phase, I'm going to look at my movement statistic, which is 5 inches, which isn't very good. So, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to see how much distance I got between myself and the Krolboys. So now what I do is I look to see how much distance there is between me and the Krolboys. There is roughly 8 inches. This means that I can't make it with my normal move, but I am able to do a charge. This means I take 2d6, and I'm allowed to charge to any enemy unit within 2d6 inches. So I get a 2, which isn't what I need to get there, which means these guys don't move at all. And I cannot do anything else with these. However, I'm now move on to the Knight Arcanum. This, however, is allowed to make a spell. So it isn't going to move. If anything, it wants to put as much distance between itself and the Krolboys, because its spell has a range of 18 inches, whereas they need to have close combat to do any damage. So I'm going to put the phone down a minute to move the Knight Arcanum 5 inches backwards. So now that it's a bit further back, that means that no models are in range of attacking it, however it's in range of attacking them. So the Vindicators can't move, however, as I said, this one's going to attempt a spell now. It is going to attempt Blaze of the Heavens, which is this spell here. So, with one outstretched hand, the Knight Arcanum draws upon the strength of their fellow warriors, conjuring a sleeting downpour that culminates in a scouring bolt from the heavens. Blaze of the Heavens is a spell that has a casting value of 7 and a range of 18 inches. If successfully cast, pick one enemy unit within range and visible to the caster. That unit suffers D3 mortal wounds. Add 2 inches to the range of this spell for each other Stormcast Eternal's Thunderstrike unit wholly within 12 inches of the caster. There's no need to do that because I am pretty sure I am in range anyway. I will just check that now. So I'm within 14 inches of the Killer Boss, who is the leader of the Gut Rippers, obviously. So what I am going to do now for this one is roll 2d6. I need anything higher than a 7. It got a 3 and a 6, so that means that it's got a 9, so it successfully casts a spell and deals 2 mortal wounds upon the Killer Boss. Mortal wounds means that it isn't allowed to use its save, so the save in there, so basically it has a 4+ save usually. However, it's unable to save this damage due to the fact that it's a mortal wound. So it is down to 4 wounds. Now, we're on to the Crow Boys' turn. I've done everything I can for my side. Now the Crow Boys, they need to be in range. So they're all going to try and move. However, they can only move 5 inches too. So they are also going to try and do a charge. 5 inches, meaning the charge has failed. So they're not moving. The Killer Boss, he is going to charge. And he also fails, so they can't do much this round. I'm just having a quick look at his abilities in case he can. Yeah, so it can't do anything this round. So we are back over to the Vindicators. The reason they're not trying to do anything but a charge is because if they move 5 inches, even though they still can't attack the Crow Boys will be able to attack them next time. So their only chance at the moment is to do an attack and charge. So I'm going to class that as a 6, so it's a 9. And the Vindicators successfully charge, moving them up against the Crow Boys, meaning they can attack. Try and get them as close together as possible to show that they're a unit. So let me just put him down quickly. So now your battlefield would look like this. The Vindicators are now going to attack. There are 5 of them and they each have an attack of 2. So that is going to be 10 dice that they're attacking with. And they are quite good. They need a 3+ to hit, which means they need to basically roll 3+ for any of these to count. Now, that wasn't a brilliant roll, but it wasn't the worst. 3 have lost and 7 are still counting. Wait a minute, I forgot to roll one of these dice. So that one succeeds too, and now we need to hit to wound. They also have a 3+ to wound, so roll again. This one's failed, this one's failed, but the other 5 have succeeded. Now, the Stormcasts do 1 damage, and the Gut Rippers have a health of 2 and a 5+ to save, so they will need, so overall we will need 3 dice. Anything that hits a 5+ is a save. That wasn't a terrible roll, they've managed to save 1, so 1 model is safe. However, 2 of them have died, meaning that they leave the battle. Oh, wait a minute, the other one does take 1 wound as well, because I forgot to mention Rend. Rend is something that's special on the weapon, which means that you increase the save. So, for example, this time, the Gut Rippers needed a 6 to save, so even if they got a 5, they would have failed. Now, 2 models have died in this unit, which isn't good for them. That means that they need to take a battle shock test. So, they need to roll 2d6. Anything that goes above their bravery is bad, and 2 of their models have died, so that's 2d6 plus 2 at the end. So they are very unlikely to succeed this. They got 7, and then we plus 2, so 8, 9, which is 4 higher. However, due to their boss, only 1 of them will flee, because usually 4 would flee due to the fact that that the difference was 4, so obviously 9 is 4 more than 5, but because of him only 1 will flee, which means the Vindicators have successfully killed basically 3 Gut Rippers. Now it's the Knight Arcanum's turn again. It is going to put more distance. Well, it can't really put any more distance, actually, so it is going to go again with Blaze of the Heavens. So, 2d6. It succeeds very well. It got the max score of 12. It's going to deal d3 mortal wounds. Only 1 mortal wound will be taken by the killer boss. However, it does have something that it can do. You hold them off. A killer boss is not above using their Stabgrot Naki as a living shield when things get dicey. Each time a wound or mortal wound is allocated to this unit and not negated, you can choose to risk this unit to get Stabgrot. If you do so, you must roll a dice. On a 1 to 5, the Stabgrot is killed and the wound is negated. On a 6, the Stabgrot is not killed and the wound is negated. If the Stabgrot is killed, the model representing it is removed from play before the wound is negated. So I'm going to roll for it now, and it got a 5, meaning the Stabgrot is dead. However, it hasn't taken a wound, and it's still on a lovely 4 wounds. Now we're back to the Crow Boys. Now, here's where things get different. There are 7 left of the Crow Boys, and they have their Wicked Sticker to use. So they get 2 attacks, so 14 dice I need this time. So I have 14 dice here. However, they need a 4+ to hit. And they will roll... oh, this isn't a good roll for them. So, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 don't hit. So that's bad for them. However, they have still got a healthy 6 left. But they need to roll again to wound. And with 6 dice, they need a 4+. Not a brilliant roll again. 3 of them go, so they're only going to be dealing 3 damage this time. And they don't have any rands, so the Vindicators still need a 3+ to save. So they will roll twice. Oh, both of them fail, which means one of them is killed and one of them has taken 1 wound. So, before I forget, they are going to have to do Battle Shock. Their bravery is a 7, so that isn't a problem for them. And only 1 model has been slain, so they get 7 exactly, which is risky, considering that 1 higher would have meant that one of them would have run away. But they are safe. Now it is the killer boss's turn. This time he can get there. So he is going to go over and join the fight over here. He is going to use his boss hacker, which has 4 attacks and needs a 3+ to hit. All but 1 hit. Now he will need a 3+ again. 2 hits, so 2 damage, each dealing 2 damage, so 4 damage overall, which has a rend of 1. So, I'm going to roll 3 times, or 4 times, sorry. And basically now they need 4+ or higher instead of 3 because of the rend. All but 1 of them fail. So that is 2 models killed, which isn't good for them. They don't have to take a battle shock because they haven't had one yet, so that's good for them. And now we are back to the Stormcast. I'm just going to move the stagger out of the way in case it gets confusing. So, things are getting bad now. We only have 2 more... Yeah, only 2 more Vindicators left. So, they each get 4 attacks this time instead of the usual, and all of them fail, which is terrible. And yes, I don't think they're going to be surviving next round. And the Knight Arcanum is going to, yes, use Blaze of the Heavens again. And this time, it succeeds again. And deals 2 mortal wounds. This time the killer boss has nothing protecting him, and is down to 2 wounds. But now we are back to the Gut Rippers again. And they are going to be having 14 attacks again. And they will get quite a good score this time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 fail. However, 9 of them succeed. Now they need another 4+. 1 and 2 fail. 1 and 2 fail, 1 fails, which means that 4 succeed. Which means that they are dealing 4 damage, which will be enough to kill both of these, unless they manage to succeed on their save throws. 1 of them fails, however, 1 of them succeeds. So this one's down, leaving only 1 Vindicator left. Now it is the Killer Boss's turn, and he is going to charge at the Knight Arcanum. Okay, so back again. He needs exactly 12 on a 2d6 to charge. So he will need 6 on both of these dice. No, fails to charge, so that's the end of his turn. Now, we're back to the one last Vindicator. He's going to have to take a battle shock. So he needs 7, and he gets 7, but the other 4 models in his unit are dead, so in reality he gets an 11, meaning that he is taken down. Leaving only the Knight Arcanum now. They are going to attack the Killer Boss with Blaze of the Heavens. It succeeds. It's dealing 1 mortal wound, but that's enough to kill the Killer Boss. So the Gut Ripper's boss is dead, so now they're going to have to win this all by themselves. So we already know they haven't got enough to get there in time, so they are going to move 5 inches. Let me just get up quickly. So this is going to be 5 inches they're going to be moving. Let me just get the camera set up. I'm just going to drop the camera for 1 second so that I can move them. So they have started to get there, but that is all they can do for that turn, apart from their battle shock, which they need, what do they need? A 5, and 3 models have fled now, so they need an 8. And they fail miserably. 4 models are leaving this unit now, because they only got a 4, so now this evens the odds. There are only 3 Gut Rippers left, and 1 Knight Arcanum. The Knight Arcanum hasn't lost any health. It still has a 6 wounds. So it is going to, now that it can, it's going to charge. So 2d6. It gets 9, which is enough to reach them. So, firstly, it's going to do a big move now. It gets 3 attacks with its Valedictor's Stave. So, 3 attacks made. It needs a 3+ to hit first. So, 2 of them succeed, 1 of them fails. Now they need a 4+. 1 succeeds, 1 fails. So now it's going to be dealing D3 damage. 1 damage it's going to be dealing. And it has -1 rend, so they need a 6. And they fail, so 1 of them is down to a 1 wound. Now it's going to do Blaze of the Heavens again. And this time barely succeeds on a 7. Dealing D2 mortal wounds. So it is going to kill their boss. And remember that this one is still on 1 wound. This one is on 2. Now they are going to move into combat now that it's their turn. 4 attacks. 4+. One of them succeeds, all the others fail. So now it needs another 4+. Succeeds again, meaning it will deal 1 damage. However, the Knight Arcanum has a save of 3+, and that is a 5+, so it takes no damage. But they have to do a Battle Shock again. Now, 8 models have left their unit, and they have a 5 bravery. So I don't like their chances on this. They get 9, which is lucky for them, but I don't think it's going to cut it. So they needed 13, and they got 9. So that is the end of them. They have fled the battle. Which means that the Vindicators and the Knight Arcanum get the win. I hope you've enjoyed this video and it has taught you something about how to play Warhammer. In my next video, I'll be talking about the different tactics that you can use when using cavalry units, and the focus will be on the Agrodon lancers. Goodbye for now.